Alrighty.
Shiny. Shiny forehead.
That just looks worse than you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes for people to kind of trickle in and join us. For the people that are currently here and are participating, why don't you drop a message in the chat box below and let us know where you guys are joining in from. We'd love to know where you guys are located. And while we wait for some people to do that, all of us, Celine, Eric, myself, are all joining in from the Los Angeles area. We've got some people from Idaho Falls, Sarasota, Florida, Indianapolis, Boston, Thousand Oaks, Newbury Park, Chicago. This is awesome. Welcome, everybody.
It's great.
I know, very exciting. All right. So we'll kind of take it away. So welcome to today's webinar. My name is Ashley Inman. I'm a content marketing manager at DNA. I'm super excited to have Celine and Eric from Karma Baker with us to dive deeper into who they are, more about Karma Baker, and more about their campaign on Start Engine. Before we get started with the webinar and having them do their presentation, I did want to mention that there are certain questions on the webinar that we can't answer, and those are just questions pertaining to financials and uses of funds. So for any of those types of questions, I will encourage you guys to visit their Raise page, and you can also reach out to their team on your own as well for any of those types of questions. I'll link their Raise page below for everybody so they have easy access to that in the chat box. Give me just a minute. All right, so that's linked below for everybody. And you guys can feel free to visit that Raise page. And perfect. So now that I've gone over the disclaimers, I'll pass it along to Celine and Eric. They have a really exciting presentation for you guys, and I'm excited to have them on with us today. So we'll pass that over and let them talk more about who they are and more about their exciting investment opportunity with Karma Baker.
Hi, everybody. I'm Celine.
I'm Eric. So excited seeing all these people joining. I thought maybe we would have 3 people. So.
I know, you never know what you're going to get. So it's great to have people here, but it's also really fun to see where everybody's coming from, which is pretty much everywhere, because that's totally our customer base, which is what's so exciting, is that we reach so many people in so many places. So as you'll hear from us, like the origins of our business and why we started, you know, reaching the people is the initial impetus for how we got started. So love seeing that.
Yeah.
Lots of New Yorks and Chicagos and things.
Boston.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ashley, how should we begin?
Yeah, so if you guys want to do a little introduction about who you guys are, how you started with Karma Baker, and how the idea came to be, that'd be great.
Yeah. All right, cool. So Karma Baker started a long time ago when I was just a stay-at-home mom with my little kids. We had moved in next door to a family whose daughter had ridiculous allergies, like 20 to 30 different foods and a death allergic reaction, like anaphylactic shock reaction. So to everything, you know, and in this time, nobody had heard of like a dairy allergy or wheat allergy. She wasn't celiac, she actually was allergic to wheat. But everything from peanuts and strawberries and some lettuces even, you know, all nuts. It's just a crazy amount of food. It was almost dangerous to feed her in my house. And I loved to bake. I baked for my kids all the time. I baked for me because I love to eat cookies. And she could have none of it. And so when I started baking and dealing with her mom would like go, well, she can have these 5 ingredients, and she would make weird things. But the things she made were awful. They were horrendous. And even my kids would look at the plate of goodies and be like, no, thanks. They wouldn't even give it a try. So I was like, you know, I can figure something out. I've got lots of free time and I love to bake, you know. So I ended up making her something, a garbanzo bean brownie that she totally loved, and my kids loved too. And seeing how much everybody eating it together and not feeling like left out or weirded out about it, it just struck such a chord with me. Like, I can figure out some more stuff for her. You know, this is how it's supposed to be. Food is for sharing. It's for connecting, it's for celebrating, you know, and Sophia's my neighbor's daughter, poor Sophia was like afraid of food. And it really just was the beginning of learning so much more about food for me and my family and my own diet and for her and stuff. So I started just baking like crazy and learning about gluten-free flours and different ingredients, different substitutes for nuts and soy. And it was just a sort of a labor of love. And I created some things that were mind-blowingly good. We started with a flour base. All the gluten-free flours at the time had nuts in them or dairy. So I started learning about what different flours did, created an amazing blend that almost was like the secret sauce to vegan and gluten-free baking. Like normally without eggs, gluten-free stuff falls apart, but this flour I made just like made everything gel together. And it was like any old recipe I took, like the Quaker oat recipe inside of the oat container, you know, on the lid, there's a recipe. I just substituted my flour and a couple other things and had an amazing oatmeal cookie. And people around me were like, do something with this. People need this. It's needed in the world. There is a void, you know. So that's how the bakery kind of got started. In a nutshell, that's how I got started with it. But early on, I brought Eric in, not unbeknownst to either of us what we were getting into. I was just baking out of my house, selling to restaurants and little cafes. And it just started like 6 months in, got to be too much for home baking. And so I moved into a little rental space, and he started helping me a couple days of the week. He was working in movies at the time doing, what were you doing?
Yeah, it was set dressing.
Yeah, set dressing.
Set dressing for commercials, and it was project based. So I usually had some free time.
Yeah.
And but you know what sold me is I grew up vegetarian, and I you know, and when I was and organic, so I wasn't allowed to eat anything growing up, even though I wasn't allergic to anything. It was never allowed in my house. And you know, and I remember I'd go to my friends' houses, and they would eat like Kraft macaroni and cheese, which I was never allowed to eat and have in the house. So when Annie's, I don't know if you all remember that, but when Annie's came out, and it was like a healthy version of Kraft macaroni and cheese, I was already in my 20s, but I was so excited. And so this idea of having an organic treat, an organic, you know, healthy, clean food that, you know, that's why one of our first products was the Hostess style cupcake with the frosting in the middle. You know, I grew up with those. Again, another thing I could never eat at home, but I'd go to my friends' houses, and I would you know, scarf those down. And then so having something that is inclusive like that. You know, one of the first times I took a tray of those cupcakes to a birthday party for a little boy, and they like brought the trays out, and all the boys came running, and they're like grabbing the cupcakes, and they're like shoving them in their faces, and they're so good. And I feel a little tug on my shirt, and I look down, there's a little boy, and he's like, well, where's mine? You know, and I said, oh, I think you can eat these, you know. And he's like, no, there's no way, because, you know, he's like, everybody else likes it. It couldn't possibly be mine. Yeah. And when he found out, his mom was like, no, you can eat this. And he couldn't believe it. He was looking at the kids, and he was looking at the cupcake, and, you know, his mind was blown. The fact that other kids liked what he was allowed to eat, yeah, was the thing that, you know, always got me.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like that inclusivity, and, you know, there's a lot of reasons why people don't eat things, you know, and it's not widely known. And so at the time it might've been, you know, started because of allergies, but, you know, my own food choices changed. I became a vegan. My food choices actually stemmed from a food allergy to dairy and eggs, which I didn't know I had for a long time. But once I got rid of them, my everything cleaned up. Like I just felt amazing. Went vegan, and also realized, you know, there's not a lot of choices. It's very segregating. You know, you go to a party and, you know, there's not choices for you, or there is choice for you, but it's, you know, it's like, you know, the amazing salad, except there's no chicken or yummy dressing or, you know, cheese shreds on it, or, you know, like, oh, some lettuce, awesome. You know, so times have changed, and I think we were just a little ahead of the game when we actually came out. But it's great to be the company now that people go to where they say, you know, I'm vegan, my daughter doesn't do dairy, my husband eats everything though, and my neighbors have, you know, the kid has an allergy, you know, and they'll bring something from ours and they'll say, this everybody is gonna love, and it looks amazing. It's like what you expect. It's not like a green cupcake, you know, it's not, doesn't look healthy. It looks like a celebration, you know, and everybody's going to eat it. Everybody's going to like it. And it takes away that whole stigma of, you know, what I eat, what I don't eat, you know, because as we know, the world is polarized. Pick your poison. People will fight about stuff. So we're trying to bring that, you know, that new, just kind of a new thinking to people's food. You know, they for a long time have felt, you know, food is a blanket, and what choices that they're, what when people make choices about food, it's limited to them. But in reality, you know, everybody's got their own choices that they make all the time. So you know, nowadays that plant-based is coming out, people are plant-based for many reasons. You know, it's ethically, it's environmentally, it's health and wellness. It's just, you know, little restrictions, like they may not be allergic to a food, it's not deathly, but, you know, they feel better not having dairy, or simple lactose intolerance. Like there's so many things. And we just want to make everybody realize good food is possible without the status quo, you know, ingredients that have been fed to us in the, you know, standard American diet, with the whole idea that, you know, it has to have milk in it to be healthy. You know, milk does a body good. Like that's an old thinking we all had. So when we eat things like a buttercream frosting and it doesn't have dairy in it, you know, you kind of go, wait, what? You know, but I thought it needed it to taste good, you know? And so that's what we're trying to change, is sort of the consciousness of everybody about their food. You know, maybe this cupcake doesn't need eggs, but I thought every cupcake needed eggs. You know, eggs are essential for baking. Well, they're not. If you think differently and you think wider, you know, there's a lot more stuff that we can do to make things palatable, taste good, you know, react the same way in baking, you know, all that stuff. So
yeah, I think it's important to note that you know, when we're talking about you know, being vegan and gluten-free, and being inclusive, I mean, we're not just marketing to vegans and gluten-free, but also people who want organic, healthy, and clean, and know that they're going to get what they're ordering. And I think that, you know, as we expand and as we grow, I think one of the biggest challenges has been to keep that heart of that quality of the food, and you know, even though we're shipping it from California to New York, right, and have that arrive in not only undamaged but as good as the last one you ordered, right? That quality is so important to us and to our bakers and to our team that we stand behind that.
yeah, we're on the precipice of a whole new way of thinking. And in the early days for us, you know, when we would take food out to people, you know, doing demos at grocery stores, you know, people say, oh, I don't want a vegan thing. I've had that, it's bad, you know, and we already know that people will give a regular bakery, you know, 10 tries they'll eat a croissant and go, oh, it was dry, and then come back the next day and have another one and give it another try. You know, I've done that myself over the years and realized I don't judge that bakery. I just go, oh, that was a bad Danish. Get another one, you know. But for us, we have one chance. We have one bite where people try our stuff and they're already ready to say, oh, I don't like it because it's vegan, you know. So we, as a company, as every employee here, we know, you know, our standard is very high, and that means our ingredients are, you know, consistent all the time, constantly taste testing, and then, yeah, shipping methods in order to get things as quickly and as freshly as we can across the nation, so that that one person trying that one time gets the right bite and they're like, this is actually surprisingly good. So yeah. Anything else, any questions that we've got so far?
Let's see. Well, to start off, first of all, for everybody, I can definitely attest. I have some issues with eating desserts that are like super sugary, heavy in dairy. It just does not work well for me, but I am a complete dessert addict. I'm obsessed with cookies too. Like, it's really an addiction. It's bad.
Yeah.
But I tried your guys' desserts and like they do not taste like plant-based or vegan. And I have had other places and completely attest to that too, where you try some of these places and it kind of tastes like cardboard or just like not great. But your guys' desserts are phenomenal. If people are tuning in and haven't tried them, absolutely do so. You will not regret it, especially if you have a sweet tooth like me. So please do that. For questions too, I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, but there is a Q&A chat box. So please feel free to leave some questions as we're going through the presentation and everything. And then I can ask these at the end. We do have one question that came through from Michael, who says, we are the company in reference to Karma Baker. Now that people go to, who are these people that go to you? And early on, what was your market? Will that change?
Interesting. Yeah.
Our market is continually expanding, and we have a loyal customer base that is constantly expanding. And it's surprising. It's not always just vegan, and it's not always just gluten-free. It's people that want to have a good dessert that they feel like is healthier, is cleaner, and you know, like Celine was saying, people that want to try something different, and see how that goes. And honestly, we're in a new world now, and factory farms, you know, are destroying the planet, whether you believe that or not, they are, and there's a lot of evidence to prove that, and we just have to think differently. And I think those are the people, and you'll see in our deck, you know, 50% of millennials want to try a vegan diet. And I think that market is constantly growing. People that are thinking consciously, that are thinking differently, like, you know what, something's not working. There's a lot of greed in the food industry. We see it all the time. We see our prices on our ingredients go up. We see the prices on regular ingredients like wheat and milk and dairy, and those prices are going down. And it's like, how's that even possible? I mean, the taxpayer must be paying for that. From what I understand, a gallon of milk, for instance, the real cost of a gallon of milk is $20 per gallon. But because of government subsidies, we realize $5 a gallon. And
I think when it comes to our customers too, you know, when we first started, it was very niche, and we almost were wondering, is this even viable? Because, you know, how many people are vegan, gluten-free? You know, it's not very many, but we so cute, but we persisted because we felt like it was important to stay in that vein. And now, you know, come forward, you know, the last 3-5 years, I'd say, you know, every celebrity is coming forward and saying, you know, oh, I'm vegan curious. So I'm plant-based this. So I'm that, you know, it's like the world before there was quinoa. You know, we didn't eat quinoa as Americans 20 years ago, you know, and now it's a natural thing. It's in everyone's, you know,
Consciousness,
nouveau
yeah.
salads. Yeah, you know, but that's the thing, you know, the Kardashians 5 years ago were not vegans, you know, and now Kim Kardashian is the spokesperson for Beyond Meat. That is a testament to like everybody's thinking, you know, it is a new consciousness, whether they're doing it for the vegan reasons or the plant-based reasons. The world's changing, and you know, we want to be that bakery that is on top of everybody's minds when it comes to the new bakery, the
The
new
household
kind
name.
of baking and and eating. Yeah.
No, it's important. And, you know, there are lots of other great bakeries, vegan bakeries out there. And more are coming up, and it's fantastic. We believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. Like the more good vegan bakeries there are out there, the better. And we have been pioneers in this field, and we are now pioneering, you know, to be a nationwide business. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been very challenging, and we believe we have a product and a brand that people can really feel good about and get behind and get on board and become a karma baker and an investor.
Yeah.
Love it. We do have 2 compliments, not questions, but we love those as well. Adriana wanted to say a big hello and love you both from Simi Valley. Very
Hi, Adriana.
Renee wanted to say Karma Baker is the best gluten-free vegan option out there. So glad you guys are offering this opportunity. And I love that you are a green, forward-thinking company, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
And then we've got one more question from Sarah. And unfortunately, Sarah, just as in regards to financials, we can't answer anything about financials on this webinar, but that is a fantastic question. I will pass that along on the side to the Karma Baker team. And also feel free to visit their Raise page as well as reach out to them individually. For everybody in the chat that might have popped in late, I'll link that again one more time so you guys can all have that. We will keep continuing questions, but I do want to have them be able to show their video to everybody. I think it's a fantastic video, really showcases their desserts and a little bit about how we have just talked about and summarizing who they are. So if you guys want to share your screen and show that video, that'd be great.
Okay, 1 second.
I'm gonna hit share screen.
Oh.
To share this right there.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So this is our the video we just made for our raise. So it's only 2 minutes long, so please enjoy. We had a lot of fun making this.
We did. We like filming ourselves.
Here we go.
My heart ached for the little girl who lived next door to us who couldn't eat anything from the local bakery at her own birthday party. So I created a gluten-free, plant-based brownie that was shockingly delicious. Suddenly, the whole neighborhood was begging for more, and Karma Baker was born. Karma Baker has one mission: sharing enlightened desserts with everyone. Our delectable treats are plant-based, gluten-free, kosher, sustainable, organic, and can be shipped anywhere in the USA.
We spent years perfecting recipes that substitute egg, dairy, and wheat so that our mouthwatering treats taste like your childhood favorites, but better for your health and the environment. And based on our internal research, we've mastered the delicate art of delivery. So your online order arrives in as little as 1 day in our safe, sustainable packaging that preserves flavor and freshness.
Speaking of sustainability, just one Karma cupcake saves 210 gallons of water compared to a regular cupcake. We believe we're meeting the insatiable demand for plant-based food in a market that's expected to reach $162 billion in this decade, with 83% of Americans trying to incorporate more plant-based foods into their diet.
We increased online sales on average by 160% every year since we first started shipping nationwide, with over half our revenue from returning customers.
We hope to lead the $2.7 billion global plant-based dessert market to the future, with plans to open 3 more satellite bakeries across the country to reduce transit times, expand our online presence, and reach an international customer base. Nothing tastes sweeter than celebrating with your loved ones while doing the right thing for your body and our planet. Join the party and eat good karma today.
Awesome video. I love it. And now everybody that hasn't seen your guys' desserts can get a little bit better of a visual of what they look like, 'cause they're fantastic. We do have a couple more questions that came in. Laura said, in expanding, what are your flexibilities, or I'm sorry, what are your plans for sustainability and lowering your carbon footprint? Have you thought about applying for a B corporation?
I don't know what a B corporation
Yes,
is, but
we've thought about B corporation. We just converted from an LLC to a C corp. And it was incredibly difficult and expensive. And so I don't think we'll be changing our status anytime soon. However, our goal is to constantly be reducing our carbon footprint. We just partnered with a company called Good Natured they make plastic that's made out of plants. It's incredible. The packaging is I think superior to regular plastic.
it's nice.
And it's completely recyclable, and it's made from plants. Like, it's
Yeah.
incredible. So we found that product, but after just a little bit of research, just having a vegan diet, or even a partially vegan diet, is the single most important thing you can do to help the environment and to be more sustainable. I mean, just the fact that we're vegan already reduces our carbon footprint significantly.
It's true.
Compared to a regular bakery.
Yeah. But we do want to have, stores across the country so that we are kind of like a cloud kitchen, or like, baking hubs, so that we have East Coast, a couple East Coast, because that's our main, outside of California, New York and Florida are our biggest destinations for goods. So having locations that are strategically marked around hubs across the country, where shipping times are, don't take an airplane, their local ground gets there in one day. That that would be fantastic. We would, we already are looking at a location in New York for our next location, because we feel like that really will have the biggest impact for us as a company in general, to be able to get our expenses down and make everything get to the customer faster, which creates a better experience for the customer, which ultimately is, our goal is to, get that good food in people's mouths.
Absolutely. And next question from Amy is, how do the more recent supply issues affect your business?
A lot.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
I am a full-time supply chain master now. That is just what I do, is find stuff. Because our ingredients is you can't get it everywhere. It's unique, it's rare and organic and expensive. And, you know, for some items, we might find one place to get it. And so if they have a supply chain issue, we do. So having a backup plan is months ahead of time. I'm constantly working on that.
A few years ago, we had a consultant come in to help us because he specialized in supply chain for restaurants. And, you know, he's used to going to a restaurant and they might have at the most 3 or 4 vendors that provide supply. At the most, we had a dozen, because we have to buy this ingredient from this vendor and this ingredient from, they're all separate.
Yeah.
We've been able to reduce that over the years, and we've got some really good partners, and we're getting better at it. However, the supply chain issue that has affected us the most is really the inflation. So a lot of prices have gone up for our ingredients, which unfortunately we have to pass along to an already expensive product. Like I said earlier, none of our ingredients are subsidized by the government, so we do not get price breaks. And sometimes when you order in greater volume, they charge more because they don't have it.
Yeah.
And we've made some adjustments to some of our ingredients. We actually had to stop making bread because of the supply chain issues, and focus entirely on desserts.
Yeah.
That was a big bummer.
Yeah. Mostly for our local shops, being gluten-free, a lot of people don't have really good gluten-free options. So we had fresh bread that was amazing. And as we have more local stores, we will, get that ingredient back, but it's been a bummer for our locals. So, but yeah, we have gotten creative, which has been a great learning experience on, how else can we revamp recipes so that they use less expensive ingredients that are more readily available. And also we've noticed that there's been many more suppliers making more things. There used to be one company that made a vegan butter. Now there's 10, vegan milks, getting rice milk was all we could really get. Now there's oat milks and all kinds of things, that alone shows us we are in the right market. We're just at the side of it. So, everyone's catching up to us, I think is kind of how we put it, but it only gets better as far as being able to source ingredients and have more options.
It's true. Even though there's been supply chain issues, the fact that there's new products coming out, it seems like every day in the vegan world, that makes our jobs easier and better and makes our product better has offset that. And that's an excellent point. Yeah, the level of creativity that's going into the vegan and plant-based markets is just incredible. It's so exciting to be a part of. Yeah. And to see, there was no vegan butter when we started.
Yeah, we were making our own butter.
That was crazy.
Yeah, there was margarine, but we weren't going to use margarine, So yeah, making our own milks and our own butters and our own crazy things.
Yeah, but everything was out of coconut oil.
Yeah,
we figured out ways to.
Yeah, the first year in, I was like, we need our own coconut plantation. I think that's the secret to this business right here. But we didn't need to do that.
From Diane, she wants to say she's local, but wanted to know, what do you do for advertising so that people out of the state find you? Diane, for the second part, again, in regards to financials, you can reach out to them individually for that one. So yeah, just what do you guys do as far as advertising out of state?
Yeah. Celine has also become a social media guru. I mean, when we started, we had no followers on Instagram, and that was
as you do when you start.
And she has grown. We're now hitting that 50,000 mark, and it's all been almost all organic.
Yeah.
And it used to be only people that were local that were following us, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And now we have people all over the country. And so we do mostly social media marketing, because it works. Some paid, some organic. We like to also, we've partnered with some of the incredible vegan rags out there, Veg News, shout out to them, and Veg Out LA, fantastic magazines. And
huge supporters we've advertised in their magazines and on their digital platforms. There's a few more like Thrive Magazine, and I can't remember another, I think it's Organic something. But some of these magazines, they're just as excited to tell their readers, hey, there's a plant-based bakery that, delivers to you, So we've had lots of great partnerships with publications. We do a lot of, Facebook and Instagram ads. And then there are a lot of companies like you know, the celiac world is very small, but they have a very strong customer base. They are dedicated because they have to be. They cannot eat gluten. And many of them can't eat dairy either. So they, the Celiac Foundation, the celiac.org, they, we work with them a lot, just kind of getting our name out there. They do a lot of fundraising, and we're very active in that as well. Some of the other stuff that we would like to do, and we would like to do it when we have more funds, is get into some of the bigger magazines and kind of advertise, not advertise so much as partner with, you know, collaborations with some of the bigger influencers, you know, the big guns, you know, Bon Appetit magazine and Martha Stewart, you know, the places where people are really interested in finding out about what's new in food, you know, that's where we would like to be.
Yeah, that would be a very good place to be. And
Yeah.
you'll definitely get there.
And then maybe we can get a Kardashian spokesperson.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
Talking to you.
go. I love it. Michael wants to know, who do you see as your partners going forward?
Oh, well, you know, we are excited about the Start Engine platform and having the opportunity to partner with our customer base and the Start Engine investments, you know, angel investors and things like that. We have seen so many vegan companies in the last 2 years get noticed and invested in by celebrities that want to make a difference. They know that they have a voice, they definitely have the dollars, and they want to partner with companies like us that you know, can make a change in the world. So you know, we joked about Kourtney Kardashian, but honestly, you know, Travis Barker, who she just married, is a Crossroads Kitchen investor, and she is a customer, so it's not that far off.
Yeah, she
but
did about 5 years ago. Or
Yeah.
less, actually.
Yeah, we used to deliver cookies to her house all the time.
Yeah, she even mentioned us a few times. And
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and that was fantastic. But we were still very young then.
Yeah.
You know, I am really excited. This dawned on me, and I mentioned it to Celine the other day, and I said, you know, I want to, all our new investors, I want to call them karma bakers. Like they're now, they are karma bakers, and I was so pleased to see that out of all the investments on Start Engine, almost all of them are customers. Right?
On ours, yeah.
There are customers already, like they bought from us
Cool.
and then they invested, and that realization was like, those are our partners.
Yeah.
Our customers are our partners. And so, and I think I said at some point in the pitch deck, like, you know, I want 1 million customers and I want 1 million partners. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So that's who I want to partner with us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, we are hoping actually to you know, once we've got enough funding to open up some other stores, we've got kind of 2 models. One is the franchise model, where we have franchise owned, you know, stores around the country, or something like Milk Bar has done, where they've been invested in, Sonoma Brands invested in them and opened up a nationwide market for them. I think that they have now 20 or so shops around the country. 24. You know, and they came in with some know-how on, here's how you open up a whole bunch of stores and get to the people. And, you know, they're one of our models as far as brands that we want to follow and emulate. So
Even though they're not plant-based or gluten-free,
right.
you know, we do that a lot. I mean, the fact that we have the Hostess style cupcake, like we emulate people that have done it in the non-alternative world. Those are the people we look to emulate and to grow the way they did.
Yeah.
Because it is growing. This market is growing every day. And like you said, there's so many vegan companies that are getting lots of influx of capital so that they can expand and grow into bigger numbers.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. We want to open more locations, and we want to advertise more to out of state, so people can find out about us.
Yeah.
Mary would like to know how long Karma Baker has been around.
So we started in my kitchen in 2013, and then moved to this facility with a storefront in the end of 2014. So we've been around for
That's when we
7.
incorporated first time too. was in
Yeah.
2014.
So we
so-
started our LLC, and yeah, opened up a storefront, which originally we wanted to be. I envisioned us just being, direct to, wholesale to grocery stores, to cafes. We kind of thought we'd maybe, sell the Starbucks, that kind of thing. But people weren't ready. They didn't understand a vegan dessert and the need and the desire for it yet. Most people that don't eat dairy don't eat dessert. They just kind of go, "Oh, forget it," So once we opened up the storefront, well, actually, we had the storefront closed, and everybody in the neighborhood kept knocking on the window saying, "When are you opening?" And we were like, "Oh my gosh, I guess we're gonna open." So we stuck a sign in the front and opened one day, and we were selling to grocery stores in the back and selling to customers out the front. So, and then the front just ran away with us. I mean,
Can you do my
everybody-
wedding cake?
Yeah,
What?
and
Oh, yeah.
immediately we had a sweet guy. He'd been gluten-free all of his life. And he said, "I have 150 people coming to my wedding, and I want a gluten-free wedding cake that they'll all eat. I want them to all eat my cake." So we made this really big cake for him. It's sweet. And his mom, cried, of course, because she heard, "My son's never had a cake." We've heard that 100 times, which is
Mhm.
sweet every time. But
That is very sweet. We actually have the same question from both people, which we've kind of touched on, but if you guys want to expand further on it. Renee and then an anonymous person asking in just said, without going into financials, where would you like to see Karma Baker 1 year and then 5 years from now from a goals perspective? The other individual said, what are your future plans 1, 3, 5 years?
Yeah. So I think that, originally in a year, we would like to see a few more satellite shops. We'd like to get that, the nationwide shipping happening from the cloud bakeries. I think that, having those local locations as well, what we do in the front of our little tiny storefront here. So our store, I don't know if people who aren't local to us and don't know us, we tripped upon this facility that's in a small mini mall in Oak Park, which is like a mile or 2 off the freeway. It is nowhere near anyone. It's like a suburb, it's a nice suburb, but it's a suburb. But it has an amazing kitchen, and that's why we took the space. The little storefront was, like I said, a secondhand thought, but this store does a ton of business. People come, they come because they need it and they want it and they love it, So if we were in a location that actually had like foot traffic or was close to the freeway, near lots more people, we already know that shop would do easily 2 million a year, no problem. So having those other, I'm not supposed to do that. That's my guess. I don't know. I can't talk dollars. So having those locations and strategically choosing those locations in New York and on the coast and in Texas and Chicago, that is our, 1 to 3 year goal for sure.
And then we kind of touched on marketing, but Michael just wanted a little bit of expansion of what will be your changes in marketing to seduce new clients, maybe direct provider to restaurants/hotels.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, one thing that we don't do right now is really get into that larger scale media. We don't have a PR agency. We don't do, local TV. We don't get ourselves, and I'm not a marketing person, and yet, I'm kind of like learning on the fly and getting it done. But, hiring a real marketing agency that knows how to get us out there is probably first and foremost what we would do.
Mhm.
We're always of the mindset that we don't know what we don't know. So hiring you know, top-notch people to get us out there is first and foremost.
Yeah.
On many levels. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for those local that are tuning into LA, they are also in Air One. So if you guys aren't able to go to their location out in Westlake, then you guys can go to the Air One location and get some stuff to try because it's amazing.
Thank
Um,
you.
And then let's see, can you talk more about your safe and sustainable packaging that you guys had mentioned?
Yeah, so this amazing company that Eric was talking about, Good Natured, there was a natural food show that was just out here in March, yeah. And they actually went to Air One and saw our cupcakes and bought them and called us and said, we have packaging that would fit this exactly and it's plant-based. And so we were like, okay. And so they sent us some samples and it's fantastic. And so we've replaced everything in the shop and everything that we can send out with this plant-based packaging. You know, as far as recyclable cardboard and stuff like that, we've just had all new bags done, all new boxes that we ship with and stuff. Yeah, as far as sustainable packaging, that is another area where just green footprint in general, I would like to be more educated on how to make those changes. So
Yeah,
again,
we have recyclable materials, and other than that, I don't know how much more
Yeah.
sustainable.
yeah,
it
I
can
mean, we
be.
try to get things as locally as possible, but again, we do have some limits on, you know, coconut oil is a big ingredient for us. And I don't think they grow that in the United States. So we're still getting that from a long way.
Right, but the distributor is his family's business.
Oh,
and his
that's true.
family
We
has
do have this
the-
awesome
yeah.
coconut guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's all sustainably grown.
That is totally true.
And yeah, so that's a really important thing, especially on the bigger ingredients, you know, making sure that they're not only organic, and I think organic's really
Yeah.
important, but the sustainability aspect of it, because, you know, even though they're plants, there's still a lot of greed, and
Yeah.
people can
And there's
can
green forests
abuse-
being cut down in order to plant plants as far as,
Yeah.
you know, as
So
farm
we try to
cows.
avoid that.
So yeah, when there was, I don't know if you guys know about this, but there was this thing a few years ago where there was a coconut company that made coconut cream, who we did not buy from, thankfully, but they were using monkeys to pull the coconuts out of the trees. And when I first heard about it, I kind of laughed. I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then I saw pictures of like monkeys in chains, like climbing trees. And I was like, what is going on in this world that's a thing, you know? So thankfully we were not using that company, but that's when Eric found this guy who it is his family's business and it's totally legit. Thank God.
Yeah.
I couldn't have a good conscience.
Yeah,
with
and he
a
imports
monkey
it
in a
right here
chain.
into the LA area.
Yeah,
So it's like, you know,
yeah,
just 1 hour drive away.
yeah. It's much more consistent than
Yeah.
the other companies do, but
And,
yes.
Yeah, less of a
there's
footprint.
lots to think about when it comes to sustainability, and actually having somebody who is a professional in that field, I think would help us as a business too.
And I think it's important to remember that, you know, all the Amazon's getting chopped down, not only for cattle, but to feed the cattle.
Yeah,
And to feed, you know, to create feed. I mean, yes, you know, they're cutting down Amazon forest to grow soy that they use to feed the cows and pigs. And, you know, they're not cutting it down to feed us
right.
necessarily. They're cutting it down, not cutting it down to grow more coconuts, and they're not cutting it down to grow more wheat. They're
Yeah.
cutting it down to grow more soy to feed cow. And, you know, I think it's just important is that everybody, I don't think, you know, the population is so big now, you know, not everybody can drink milk. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody can eat meat. It's just not, it's not sustainable. So creating foods that are sustainable is what we're about. And that's where we spend most of our time focusing on. Packaging is really important, especially since everything we make it has to be packed to go. So we do use packaging, so we have to be conscious of that. but our food is really the big ticket item, and
Yeah.
less people eating dairy and meat means a more sustainable future for humans.
Yeah. Lori has a fantastic question. Can your investors volunteer to help you increase your output and visibility, such as sending articles to local papers, reaching out to vendors that may like to stock Karma Baker, social media posts, etc.?
Yes. Yay, anytime. Absolutely. We would love any and all, publicity, shout outs, recommendations. It's really hard to get the word out from one voice, right? So yes, the more voices, the better. You can always reach out to us on Instagram. I'm usually the one answering the messages in there. But if not, it's, my kitchen girl who's got my ear. So we're right there. You can also always email us at, I'm Celine at karmabaker.com, and he's Eric at karmabaker.com.
Yes, and please don't underestimate the value of putting in reviews, 5-star reviews, writing reviews on all the
It really does
platforms.
matter. Yeah.
Sharing our advertising on your Instagram page, liking everything you see on our Instagram page, like
Yeah.
that really works, and it really helps spread the word. So those are just some little things you can do that are a big help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Those little things like resharing posts, and you guys have great videos and content. It's extremely helpful to brands like yourself to have people show that social proof, of course, and encourages people to learn more about you guys, which is great, especially while the raise is going on and then after, as a company on its own. So absolutely anything you guys can do is always amazing, and a very great question to ask again, Lori. Diane wanted to know, have you thought what you can do to retain the quality of your products as you grow and open new outlets?
Every day.
Yes, that's something that we're always working on. That back here is keeping, a recipe Bible, videos of how we produce stuff, so that when we are training, or if somebody doesn't know, someone's sick and they don't know how to make that thing, they have a video of how to do it. It's like we've been kind of creating that little kit, the Bible of how to open the next shop, and Maggie is our head of kitchen. I may have come up with all the recipes in the early days, but Maggie is the one who has made them thousands and thousands of times in many different sized batches. And she and I work very closely together. She's amazing. Yeah. So, we already have planned that she will be teaching, if they're
she'll be the head chef.
Basically. She'll be the head chef, but she would be teaching the people.
She would be showing how to do it, because it's not traditional baking.
Right.
And I think we learned that in the early days. Not just anybody can do this.
They can learn, but they do need to be taught.
They need to be taught.
The ingredients are different, unique, and it's not just about not adding, eggs or butter. It's definitely, there's an art. There's an art to it. Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, we've been very good we have the right team, and we've been very good. Like Celine said, we've sold so many thousands of cupcakes and cakes, and they're always good. And that is our number one thing, is we want to be able to expand and grow and have that quality
is the most important thing.
You always know when you get a Karma Baker cake, it's going to be a Karma Baker cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard because we make everything by hand, and we make everything, with that intention, and it's and it works.
Yeah,
it works.
I know. I can't wait to open more stores.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work.
I can't wait for you to open more stores. I'm like, open one down the street from me.
Yeah, right?
You guys are still close, but I'm like, the more convenient, I'd be there every single day. It'd be bad. We do have time for probably about 1 to 2 more questions, because we are going to have to wrap up here. We do have one, which we kind of answered, but what can we do to help other than investing. So of course, again, touching on sharing with social media and everything. Anytime you guys see Karma Baker, follow them on Instagram, follow them on their TikTok page, all their social media stuff, share with friends, family would be a great one. But Celine and Eric, anything else you guys can think of?
I don't know. I'm so appreciative of everybody who's on here today. I really am so appreciative of your interest and the opportunity for us to kind of like just chat a little bit. If you follow us on Instagram, I don't put myself out there very often. I'm sort of shy.
She was very nervous today, guys.
I'm so nervous today.
In all honesty.
But it really is nice to be heard. So I really appreciate that.
You guys did a fantastic job, absolutely. And I think it was a great webinar. For anybody else, final questions, but yeah, I think we've gotten some amazing questions answered. We've learned a ton more about Karma Baker. I think one more question I didn't get answered yet was, how did the name Karma Baker actually come about? That might be a fun one to end on.
It is a good one. Sometimes I'm like, God, how did I come up with that name? It's so good. But in all honesty, I was wondering what should we name this place? What should we name this? And you know, we were doing a lot of meditating. Had just gone to India, and you know, the idea of a karmic footprint, you know, of what you put out in the world comes back to you. It's not about good karma and bad karma. It's about your decisions every day and what you decide to do. So, you know, when you choose to eat our food, when you choose to not have animal products, you know, you choose to not take on that animal's karma into your body, and you have then made a karmic choice going forward, you know. So it's like a payback to the planet, you know, being conscious about yourself and your food and your impact. So
Yeah.
I know she called me and she said, so I'm thinking about Karma Baker. And I was like, the Karma Baker? And she's like, no, Karma Baker. And I was like, I love it, because it is not about a singular person, and it's not even about a type of person. It's a way of life. Like,
yeah.
you know, baking is a magical, beautiful thing that has propelled society. Maybe single-handedly is one of the most important aspects of a society. Is the baker, is bread, you know, is feeding people, and bringing celebration and joy into people's lives. So Karma Baker is not the Karma Baker or
Karma Bakery
or Karma Bakery even. It is Karma Baker. So.
Yeah.
And it's a great one. It sticks with you. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know we had some very sweet comments that were just generalized of how much they love your guys' products and love you guys. So those are always very sweet. I apologize that we've had to focus on questions, but I'll definitely relay that to Celine and Eric after this. But thank you again to everybody that took the time out of their day to join in and learn more about Karma Baker. I'm going to link the Start Engine Raise page one more time, just so everybody has that down below. And yeah, absolutely check them out. If you aren't excited about this, I don't know how you couldn't be. It's an amazing, amazing opportunity. And thank you, Celine and Eric, so much for taking your time to talk more about Karma Baker with us. We're all extremely excited.
Thank you so much, Ashley. You were fantastic.
All right, everybody, have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.